Welcome into Point Counterpoint. I'm Logan Reardon. Jake Shiffer here with me. Not necessarily here with me, but here with me. We begin our discussion today with literally the only sport making headlines these days, the NFL. Jake?
Yeah, big news coming out of the NFL. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed Tom Brady to a $30 million per year contract. No word yet on just how long the deal is, but a huge move for the NFC South. Logan, does this make the Bucs a contender now?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, you look at that team last year, 7-9. They were kind of hanging around with Jameis Winston, 30 interceptions, and they still went 7-9. You add Tom Brady, he's going to take care of the ball more. They re-signed Shaq Barrett. They re-signed Jason Pierre-Paul. They add Tom Brady. They've got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin out at receiver. This team's looking really good. And Bruce Arians, I mean, he did the same sort of thing when he signed Carson Palmer to Arizona back a few years ago. They made the playoffs. They had a few runs there. So I really think that adding Tom Brady and his kind of veteran presence, he's going to really be a different change of pace from what they had with Jameis Winston, obviously. And I think they definitely got a shot in the NFC. It's obviously a loaded conference. You got teams like the Saints, the Niners, Seahawks, Rams, even the Cardinals now with DeAndre Hopkins. They've got tons of teams out there, the Packers, Vikings. But I think that the Bucs are going to be right up there with the best of them.
And we get to see Tom Brady versus Drew Brees twice a year now. That's going to be pretty fun to watch down in the NFC South. The big thing for Brady is going to be he has to show out now, right? You don't have no-name receivers like you did in New England now. Now you got guys we know about. You have Rashad Perriman, Godwin, and Evans, like you said. So all those off-target throws he was making, he ranked 30th in off-target throws, 21% at that point. You've got to prove that those are your receivers' fault and not your fault. You know, this is kind of the moment for Brady to prove that he's not over the edge, not past his prime, that he actually has a couple more years left.
Yeah, and so with Tom Brady off to Tampa Bay, that kind of leaves the Patriots with an unknown challenge. It's a challenge they haven't faced in over 20 years. New England drafted Drew Bledsoe in 1993. He started for 8 years. Tom Brady took over after the Mo Lewis hit, of course, in 2001. So this franchise hasn't had an unknown at quarterback in 27 years. The Patriots have had two quarterbacks left on their roster currently, 2019 fourth-round pick Jarrett Stidham and career backup Cody Kessler. So, Jake, where do the Patriots turn in replacing the greatest quarterback of all time?
Well, Brady was a no-name at the time. I mean, he did have some, great moments at Michigan. But coming out of the draft, sixth-round pick, wasn't that big of a name, wasn't that popular. Stidham's kind of the same thing. Let's see if Belichick can be that quarterback whisperer and make him the next big thing. Maybe not turn him into Tom Brady. That's, once in a lifetime, once in a generation player, but make him a successful player. We saw him do it with Garoppolo. That team went 11-5. He had Jacoby Brissett do really good things in New England as well. I don't see why Stidham can't be at least a serviceable quarterback out in New England this season.
I agree with you completely. I think Stidham has to be the guy. You look at, obviously no one is going to be Tom Brady after Tom Brady, at least right away. I mean, that's asking way, way too much. But Stidham, he showed some promise in the preseason, had some moments with some guys. He obviously had some troubles. He came in and threw a pick six on one of his first career passes against the Jets in a blowout this year. You can't really take too much from that, but I think he's the option that you want to go with moving forward over a veteran quarterback like Andy Dalton or Cam Newton, someone like that who's maybe going to keep you afloat at 8, 9 wins, 10 wins. Maybe you squeak in as a wild card. Maybe you just miss the playoffs and you end up with the 16th pick in the draft. But Stidham, right, I mean, he's going to be capable or he's not. So, I mean, if he's capable, then great. You found yourself another franchise quarterback. But if he's not, all right, well, we get a high draft pick and we've got guys like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields in the draft, and maybe we can just run this thing back, sort of like how the Warriors are trying to run that back this year with the 1 year off and then right back on top.
Taking that 1 year off might be the new, plan for all these teams. Trust the process, right?
That's right.
Continuing this NFL news, the Dallas Cowboys recently franchise tagged Dak Prescott after not being able to come to terms on a new contract. Logan, what do you think of this move in Dallas?
I can't say I love it. It's a slippery slope when you're franchising a franchise quarterback that you want to be your quarterback long term. We saw it with the Redskins and Kirk Cousins a few years back. They tagged him year after year, and inevitably he got upset with that. He wanted the long-term security, and he couldn't get it. They were unwilling to give it to him, and he left. He's gone, and we've seen how the Redskins have looked since he left. Obviously, they weren't great with him, but, I mean, since he left, they've been even worse. So it's not kind of the precedent you want to set with your best players, and you want to show the rest of your team that you're willing to pay for guys when they do well. Dak Prescott, a late round pick, third round pick, I believe, and he's proven himself obviously from day one as a rookie starting, and he can take this team to the playoffs and deeper in the playoffs if he has talent around him. So you give him the money, and then I think you figure out the rest later. That's kind of the system you got to go with. You got to roll with the quarterback. The quarterback is the most important position, and I can't say that I love the Cowboys going on a year-to-year basis with the most important player to their franchise, because as good as Zeke is, as good as Amari Cooper is, as good as the guys on that defense are, Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith, guys like that, but Dak is the most important guy to that franchise. Don't make any mistake about that.
Agreed. Dak is important, but it looks like the Cowboys are doing the complete opposite of what you mentioned. You know, you get your quarterback first, then you build everything else. They're doing the opposite. They just re-signed Amari Cooper to a big contract. They just picked up Joe McCoy, who's recently with the Panthers, made the Pro Bowl as a defensive tackle there. So they're going to bolster their defense that way. Supposedly they're targeting Emmanuel Sanders now, according to Jane Slater of the NFL Network, who says that he actually trains in Dallas. He went to SMU as well, and he's really interested in going to the Cowboys. So they're trying to build around Dak without giving Dak the money that he has shown he deserves. Whether that's good for your quarterback to be thinking that way in the long term, we'll have to wait and see. They could just be going through this plan saying, let's pay everybody else and see what's left over and give that to Dak. But this doesn't set a good precedent for how you actually feel about your franchise quarterback. You're not making him feel like a franchise quarterback, but you're still expecting him to play as one. It's not really a good mindset to have for that guy.
That's right. That's definitely right. And of course, we could talk about the NFL all day. They've been giving us all of our news as we've been bundled up in our houses here. But let's shed some light on some of the events that have been canceled in wake of coronavirus. The NFL and NHL seasons and upcoming playoffs, the beginning of the MLB season, the Masters, the Kentucky Derby. All these events have been postponed until further notice. But on the bright side, we could end up with all these events clumped together over the summer and fall months to create a mega sports calendar towards the end of the year. It's going to be a wild time, hopefully. So, Jake, what event are you most looking forward to once they resume?
I think I'm most looking forward to another sports equinox, maybe. I don't know. We could potentially have the NBA Finals, MLB Opening Day, and the Masters all in the same weekend. Why not? Let's make it happen. You know, the schedule's going to be a little messed up, but, you know, seeing all of those events on one day is going to be great. But I'm really hoping those NBA Finals are able to make it happen. This NBA season's been phenomenal so far. And if we can get the playoffs and the championship game that not only we deserve as fans, but that these players deserve and that they've given us such a great season for, it'd definitely be one to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be chaos once all the sports start to come back. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later. I think this is kind of a unique opportunity for the NBA to push back their schedule and make the finals take place in whenever, August, late July, early August, mid-August, whenever, and just kind of take up those dead summer months when there's really generally nothing going on. I think it would be great for the NBA to do that and start the season later. That's what they'll have to do if they end up doing this whole thing with the finals over the summer. So I think this could really be not a good thing because the NBA is obviously losing millions and millions of dollars with all these games that they're missing out on, but it could be a good thing for them in the long run in terms of switching their schedule around and maybe getting more viewers for the summer months when there's nothing going on and the finals are appointment television.
Speaking of basketball, the National Basketball League in Australia was one of the last events to continue in wake of the coronavirus pandemic. Perth Wildcats were up 2-1 in the series over the Sydney Kings in a best-of-5, but they recently just canceled the remaining games after the Sydney Kings refused to play anymore in wake of the crisis going on. Logan, Perth was up 2-1. It looks like they were kind of dominant going into the potential elimination game 4. What did you see from this series so far, and what did you expect moving forward if they did play those games?
I think the Sydney Kings refused to play because they know they had no shot of winning the series. I mean, you look at the Wildcats, they're defending champions. They've won 4 of 6 titles. This team was looking unstoppable. I mean, Andrew Bogut looked like no match for Miles Plumlee out there, which is a sentence that you did not really expect to hear said with those 2 names, just random names. Bryce Cotton, former Providence College guard, won MVP last year. He's been doing his thing again this year. I think that the Wildcats were way too much for the Kings this season.
Yeah, the Wildcats, really pushing forward behind Nick Kay, too, down forward in the post. He was causing issues for the Kings, 30-12 in game 1. putting up huge average numbers for them. I didn't see a way for the Kings. They got that good win in game 2, kind of brought up their spirits a little bit, but game 3, the Wildcats came right back, blew them out again. I didn't see why that couldn't have happened in game 4 and game 5. Let's be honest here. The Wildcats were the top team in this league all season and through the playoffs, and they would have kept continuing that. And I think it's right that they name the Perth Wildcats the champions of the National Basketball League.
Rightfully so, rightfully so. Coming up, we will discuss NBA regular season awards, March Madness cancellation, and more. Stay with us here on Point Counterpoint.